welcome to our brand new series, Destination Do-Over. My name is Samuel.
And I'm Amanda.
And we're from Allura Studios, a production house from Atlanta, Georgia that releases travel-related content. We have 7 days to explore this beautiful city, which means we have a full agenda. So we've packed as many cultural experiences, historical landmarks, signature cuisines, and travel tips as we possibly can.
So stay tuned for our 8-part series, Destination Do-Over.
Welcome back, viewers. Today, we start our journey in the French Quarter in the famous Café du Monde. The name in French means Cafe of the World or the People's Cafe. The location we're visiting is called Butcher's Hall and was originally built by the Spanish around 1791. After some hurricane damage in the early 1800s, it was fixed up and is pretty much the same as we see today.
Today, the cafe is a staple of New Orleans. It's such an icon that in the aftermath of Katrina in 2005, after some repairs, the reopening of the cafe for many people marked the beginning of the city getting back to business as usual. Now people flock from all over the world to visit this cafe and try the sweets and coffee.
La Mazzone Paleo was built in 1825 for François-Marie Paleo.
Koch & Wilson Architects firm has preserved this house pretty close to its original 1800s design.
And the next place we are going to see is the old Ansley Convent.
What we see today was completed in 1745. It's been a convent for the entirety of its time here in New Orleans.
The convent is open for self-guided tours, but only until around 3:15, so today we've made it too late to get in. But if you make it early enough, you can explore this historical site for just $8 per person.
The next place we are going is down the street to Jackson Square, which is the most famous square in the city.
It is the home of the next few sites that we are going to see and take some pictures of, like the presbytery,
the cathedral,
and the famous St. Louis Cathedral. But there is one more site that we can't let go overlooked.
This is Danny Barker's birthplace. Danny Barker was one of the most famous banjo players in all of New Orleans and is also credited for his work with Fairview Baptist Church Brass Band and his role in solidifying the importance of jazz music and jazz musicians during his lifetime.
And just down the street, we have the famous square.
A famous New Orleans landmark, a national historical landmark, an example of garden design from the 17th century. Jackson Square has a huge reputation to uphold, and I feel like it does.
Around the square, there are a couple of important historical sites, including the cathedral on the left, the presbytery to the right, and St. Louis Cathedral in the center. The cathedral was the Spanish city hall. It was destroyed in the Great New Orleans Fire and rebuilt in the late 1700s.
The presbytery was built to match the cabildo and make this stretch of building symmetrical. Its original name, La Casa Correal, was replaced by its current name, which comes from the site upon which this building is built. The site was originally where the Capuchin monks lived, which made this a clergy house, or a presbytery in French.
And finally, the French cathedral, St. Louis Cathedral.
This is one of the oldest cathedrals in the U.S., dating back to the founding of this town, around 1718. There have been a few different buildings over the years. A wooden cathedral from the beginning, and then brick and timber around 1825. Then, after the Great New Orleans Fire in 1788, it was rebuilt and completed in 1794. It was bombed in the early 1900s, and it was also damaged in Katrina, but this cathedral is still just as beautiful as ever.
The last thing we're going to do today is walk down the Riverwalk and see all of the statues, landmarks, and monuments there are to see, starting with the Natchez. One of the last daily functioning steamboats left on the Mississippi River, the Natchez is actually where we spent some of our previous time in New Orleans. It's a beautiful boat that you can book your lunch or dinner cruise for a pretty decent price. There's a pipe organ player who plays little ditties before the boat embarks, and there's a live jazz band that plays inside while a tour of the river is given over speakers by the boat captain. It's a great experience, especially for a birthday or special occasion, which was the reason for our first trip here. Built in 2003, the Holocaust Memorial of New Orleans is 9 panels and 10 views telling the story of 6 million, quote, Jews, Gentiles, homosexuals, gypsies, and all other victims of Nazi hate. The monument to the immigrant was established by the Italian-American Marching Society in New Orleans in 1991 and is a testament to anyone brave enough to leave their own country and come to a new one to start a new life. This is Old Man River. built in 1991. He symbolizes the great impact that the river has on the city of New Orleans. The next two statues, the Lady of New Orleans and Instrument Men, there are a couple of fountains over here in the French Market that I really think are worth stopping for. Joan of Arc is considered a saint in the Roman Catholic Church and is very important in French history and therefore New Orleans history. And that leads us to the French Market, which is the end of our day here in the French Quarter. Not bad for losing half the footage, right? We hope you enjoyed this video. We hope that you learned something.
And don't forget to check out our other videos. We have a lot more about New Orleans posted and more to come.
And don't forget to tune in for the next episode, which is going to be about City Park. So you're not going to want to miss that one.
Bye!